Hi, I'm Bonnie, and today I'm going to be reading 𝐓𝐡𝐞𝐚, The Treasure Seekers. Further complications. The Tia sisters continued to read through Aurora's journal, getting more and more interested in her story. Does she say anything else about the treasures? Pam asked, trying to peek at the book over Paulina's shoulders. Paulina murmured. Oh, I just found another page that seems important. 21st of September. Dear Diary, today I gathered my courage and confronted Professor 𝐒𝐿𝐴. Since I found out about the legend of the 7 treasures, something in me has changed. I feel a calling to search for the treasures and make sure the world knows of their existence. They are riches that belong to everyone and that everyone should have the right to admire. So I've gone to the local libraries to expand my research. I even checked the other farther away, more equipped ones to see if there were documents available somewhere that made reference to this legend. For a long time, my investigation was fruitless. But just when I was starting to despair, I had a breakthrough. A dear friend who owns an antique bookstore in Paris mentioned an ancient travel book to me. The volume references the 7 treasures of the earth, hidden in various places around the world, shrouded in mystery. I couldn't believe it. Now I finally have a clue that might allow me to fulfill my dream, bringing these hidden treasures to light. That's why I had to confront the professor. I wanted to propose that we continue to carry out this research together. I knew it wouldn't be easy since he had chosen to keep the story of the legend a secret, but I assumed he was organizing an expedition already, and that he hadn't told me because he didn't want a young person without much experience on his team. But his reaction when I spoke with him was beyond what I ever could have imagined. I had expected him to reject my proposal, at least initially, but I never dreamed he would become so furious when I confessed that I had looked at the book. After all, he knew I was aware of its existence since we had discovered it together. He told me I didn't have the right to look through his things, and he called me a snoop. You can imagine, dear diary, how surprised I was. In all my years studying and working with the well-regarded professor, I've never known him to be so short-tempered and rude. After a moment, he calmed down a bit and told me that I should forget about the whole thing. I told him I wouldn't do that, and he responded that he planned to enjoy the treasures by himself. He had no intention of revealing them to the world. Dear diary, I was shocked. I now know that his goals are very different from my own. Unfortunately, behind the facade of a serious professor lies that of a selfish, greedy, and unscrupulous collector. A dream to fulfill. Paulina closed the journal carefully. As she and her friends read the pages of Aurora's book, they had discovered that the relationship between Aurora and Professor 𝐒𝐿𝐴 soured quickly over their differing views on the legend of the 7 treasures. They were both fascinated by the story and the idea of the treasures, but for very different reasons. The professor wanted to find the treasures so he could enrich his personal collection. Aurora's interest, on the other hand, stemmed from the simple desire to return those lost marvels to the world. In the end, Aurora decided to look for the first of the treasures, the alabaster garden. But the diary ended before she revealed what it was and where it was hidden. You know, the mystery of the treasures is incredible, but what struck me most is Aurora's integrity. Paulina said. She really was an extraordinary young mouse. You're right, Violet agreed. She was passionate about archaeology, and she also had a strong sense of right and wrong. Yes, she was incredibly courageous, Pam added. It's too bad her life ended so mysteriously, Paulina said sadly. The mousettes were quiet for a moment as they all recalled what they had learned at Beatrice's house. Aurora Beatrix Lane had disappeared aboard her biplane, and to this day, no one knew what had happened to her. Suddenly, Pamela had a realization. Sisters, I think we should continue her adventure, she squeaked. What are you talking about? Violet asked, intrigued. We can be the ones to fulfill her dream, Pam explained. If we can find the alabaster garden, we can make sure it's safe. Just think, if the 7 precious treasures really do exist and no one today knows it because of Aurora's disappearance, it's a loss for the entire world. We need to do something about it. Pam's right, Nuki said slowly as she thought things through. We're already involved in the story, and now we have Aurora's notebook, which was hidden for almost 100 years. We can't turn back now. We need to honor Aurora's memory. And our work could help Beatrice solve the mystery of the tapestry, Paulina added. The dishonest mice who stole the tapestry probably know the legend and are searching for clues to the treasure as we squeak, Violet mused. So we'll need to be faster than them, Pamela said. Colette jumped out of her chair suddenly. Well, what are we waiting for, sister? She squeaked. Let's get moving. Coco, Maggie said gently, there are 2 problems. First, we have no idea where to begin. I think we should go back to Beatrice. Colette cut in quickly. I want to make sure she's okay, and we could tell her about the journal. She'll want to see it, and she also might be able to help us. I think that's a great idea, Violet said. Violet agreed. But you're forgetting the second problem, Nikki said. It's almost 2 a.m. We have to get some sleep before we hit the road. The others burst out laughing. Okay, Colette agreed with a yawn. Tomorrow we'll say goodbye to James and Philip and thank them for their help. Then we'll be on our way back to Scotland.